nobody can honestly ignore. And the Northern Hemisphere, with its overwhelming preponderance of seasonally snow-bedecked land masses and glaciers and permafrost and sea ice, is bearing witness to the obvious fact that the globe is warming. For political reasons, mostly because people with poor thought processes couldn't understand how the average temperature of a spinning planet going up could cause polar vortices that displace the gradually warming but still ice-cold air down south. The science communications community had to change the words to the nebulous term climate change, which I'm unhappy with because it suggests no vector and in turn gets people confused about the differences between weather, a local regional short-term phenomenon, and true climate, a global and long-term larger-scale regime of weather patterns, and between magnitudes of change, sudden swings in temperature, heat waves, and cold snaps, and rates of change, a catastrophic rise in global average temperatures of 2 degrees in just 1 or 2 generations, leading many to declare, well, climates always change, what of it? Well, that's easy for the folks living in the million-dollar apartments of cozy Trump Tower to say, subsidized by cheap fossil fuels imported from faraway lands, secure in their access to cheap subsidized fresh food, mostly imported from the global south, for year-round season-independent consumption, because they have perfect building level and refrigerator and room level climate control during the sweltering summers and frigid winters and sudden heat waves and cold snaps throughout the climatically crazy year. Those with wealth and privilege don't usually suffer and die when the weather patterns become erratic and dangerous as the overall climate regimes become unpredictable. They aren't trapped when it becomes impossible to go outside and when local agriculture fails. They live with the certainty that the services and machinery they can afford will keep them buffered from all but apocalyptic changes. But the rest of us who live in the North, particularly those who live dependent on the ecology of the North, live a different story. Some of us remember the gradations of the seasons, the gradual changes that happened rhythmically and repeatedly year after year, cycle after cycle. And the indigenous peoples of the North almost universally felt the unity of man and biosphere that their lives depended on. They understood the contrasts between, on the one hand, the homeostasis needed by animals and the slow adaptation needed by plants to survive the contrasts of the seasons, and they applied the principles of harmony needed to make a living in the ecology of the North.